Hi guys, and welcome back to the channel. I do appreciate you tuning in and subscribing. And today let's talk about Left Behind, a DLC for The Last of Us 1. Now before diving into The Last of Us 2, I thought it was a good idea to play this DLC for The Last of Us 1 just to get up to speed with the story and the gameplay of the game again. Now story-wise, the DLC focuses on Ellie, and it goes back and forth, which is really interesting in terms of the story, the way that the story is told, the narrative basically, because it goes back to the time where she teams up with Riley and they go around this mall and have fun there, and the interaction is just very, very nice and heartfelt. But it also goes forth to the time when Joel was injured and Ellie had to fend for herself, all by herself, as she scavenges this same rundown mall for medical supplies. And because of the back and forth story, it sort of fills in the blanks as a good DLC should of the main story. When you go back in time, you see certain things in the mall, and if you go forth in time, there are hints of Ellie there that sort of reminds her of the time with Riley. So both stories are connected in a way, because it's basically the connection is Ellie. You know, it's her past, it's her present. But the gameplay is somewhat disjointed, because the section with Riley in the past sort of focuses on having fun in the mall and doing all kinds of, sort of context-given mini games and just going around with her. There are some things that The Last of Us is known for, the survival aspect of it, but most of that takes place in the present, where Ellie is basically on her own, and the game, or the DLC, really makes you feel vulnerable as Ellie. I mean, she has to use a lot of stealth. There's too many enemies to just kill them. You can try that, but I think it's more fun to try and avoid confrontations as much as possible. And again, it does make you feel vulnerable. The game does convey that feeling very well. Although the gameplay is fairly linear, of course, like most of the main game, where you basically follow a set path. But the DLC doesn't really try and hide that fact very well. You can't jump from certain ledges. There are invisible walls and that sort of thing. But again, that's sort of part of the fact that this is a bite-sized standalone story. Things I didn't like, well, Ellie swears a lot. Given the circumstances, that is understandable, but she does it quite often. And for some of the tasks you're given, especially in the present, where you fight enemies and that sort of thing, well, at some points you have to fend off enemies, right? You can't rely on stealth, and you have to do it in a certain time limit, which doesn't make a lot of sense. Again, as I said, the game and the DLC is best when you use stealth, and it just doesn't make sense that you need to dispose of, like, I don't know, 6, 7, 8 enemies within a certain time limit. Otherwise, Joel is done for, basically. But again, given the fact that this is a small-sized DLC, I understand that, it just, you have to do things quickly, although it gives the player a little bit more stress to do things while this DLC is already fairly short. So the game sort of pushes you to rush it, and while the DLC is quite short. That's what I want to say. It will probably take you around 2 hours to complete. I did enjoy my time playing this, and I'm going to jump into The Last of Us 2. It's a good DLC, especially the narrative. It's really good. The gameplay is more of what you expect, and it feels a little bit disjointed. But again, it's small in size, but it's fun. That's what I think of Left Behind DLC for Last of Us 1. Thanks for watching, and see you next time.